How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Go Forward Show. We have Robb Killen from the Christian Authors Network here to share with us a little bit about his kids' book, The Story of Shapes. So, Robb, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved in the world of being a kids author, and what are you doing at NRB this week?
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
my name is tricky. It's pronounced like a gazillion different ways, but we go with Killen on that one. But
all right. Or you can correct the record.
It's all right. It's people. I like to add S's on it. But anyway, I'll answer to anything as long as you got food for me.
Let's go.
Yeah. So this is my very first children's book. We were just talking a little bit earlier. I moved to Nashville to be a performer in Opryland, USA theme park as a puppeteer, character performer. Did that for several years, professional puppeteer. I had the privilege of working with a couple on Jim Henson movies, Muppets from Space, Elmo and Grouchland, some television things, wrote for a PBS show. And then that kind of dried up a little bit. Worked with a friend of mine doing home remodeling and landscaping, and there's one cool 40-degree day in the rain when I'm pulling weeds at someone else's house that I thought I need to rethink my life choices. So I went back to school and became a school counselor.
Wow. Okay.
And been doing that since 2005. And then as a school counselor, I've worked both in public schools and Christian schools and other private schools. So run the gamut of that for the past 20 plus years. And as a school counselor and also administrator, talking with the students and the kids about various topics. The issues we find in schools are the same issues we find in society.
Sure.
Right? Because they bring it in there. Typically, they'll be talking about things that their parents talk about at home.
Right.
And so the arguments get into is basically like the parents arguing, right? And so finding ways to talk about difficult subjects without saying, let's sit down and talk about a difficult subject.
Sure.
For example, The Story of Shapes deals with diversity. And when people hear the word diversity, sometimes walls go up, sometimes, I get kind of inflamed. It's not a political agenda diversity. I heard someone here at NRB saying it's the small d, small diversity, right?
Yeah.
And so this book, it doesn't tell you we're going to talk about diversity, but as you go through the story, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. And so it's kind of a backdoor way to open up discussions.
I love it. So were there things that you were encountering at school, in your professional world, where you felt like this was something that kids needed a way to address, or kind of like you talked about, a soft landing where it wasn't polarizing and it was a way to kind of, maybe see common ground and be able to find ways to interact with each other as human beings versus, cliques or kind of the groups that follow. When I grew up, politics wasn't a thing in high school, a little bit in college. Definitely not in high school, and it was non-existent in grade school or elementary school. Be curious if that's different, in today's world where kids have phones as young as 10, and maybe there's a little more of that, in the current world. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. When I was in school, we're more or less oblivious to politics.
Yeah, no one cared.
Maybe the presidential election, all we would talk about is who won, and then that was about it. But you're right. I've seen over the past few years, it does begin to be polarized, right? And so again, what some children will be hearing at home, if parents are very much on one side or the other, and that's all they talk about or all they watch on TV, then they will come to school and talk about those things. And then to another child whose parents are on the other side, they're like, no, my parents said that's a really lame idea, or that. And so. Yeah, I've seen the divisiveness, right? And I've done a lot of work around bullying as well, and a lot of that sometimes starts with just the disagreement, right? And a really harsh, like, I'm digging in, and this is where, and I think that's totally wrong, and I'm not even willing to look at that side, and I do see a lot of that polarizing going on these days.
Interesting. Yeah. So what's the kind of the general theme of the story, and how do you think it can help kids kind of address some of that, and maybe be a little bit more accepting of, a wider variety of people, and or at least approach people as human beings versus opponents?
Yeah, absolutely. So in The Story of Shapes, I went back to just the basics, right? The primary shapes. So circles, squares, and triangles. Mm-hmm. And in this story, they have the land of Shapely, and the three shapes have their own areas that they reside in, and they don't really intermingle with each other. The squares particularly, they have these rigid, square 90-degree angles, straight sides. They love everything the same every day, very rigid thinking. They like building towers and walls, mainly because they like to look out at the other shapes and look down at them, right? And so, we're better than you. We've got these straight sides and we're pristine and we got our things together. Then you got the circles that live kind of in the rolling hills, and they're complete opposites of squares, right? They don't have straight sides. They have no angles, right? And they're rolling around all the time. They're never in the same spot where they were yesterday. Totally unacceptable to a square, right? And then you got the triangles. They live more in the mountainous areas. And although they're in their area, they are generally more accepting of people who look different, because if you think about triangles, they come in a variety of angles, right? You can have obtuse triangles, you can have right triangles, and so they're used to differences. And so anyway, along the way, this one circle is rolling around, gets into the mountainous area, having fun. They welcome him, let him, triangles do, and let him ride their slopes. This snowstorm rolls in, and the circle is stuck there, right? And so they're presented with this problem. How can we help this circle get back to where he needs to be? And so they decide, what if we actually work together? We get some triangles, you connect it to the circle, have the circle roll, you basically create a snow plow, and you can kind of plow your way down, right? And so they get him back to his area, and the circle's like, well, this is great. You can help us clear out our area. And so they get all that done, and everything's all happy, and they look down the way, and they see Blockville, right? All the squares are there, and they've got straight sides. The snow's not going to slide off of those things, right? And they're just covered in snow. And so this great dilemma and this debate happens. Should we help them? And most of them were saying, no, they're always mean to us. They're talking down to us. They never helped us, so we're not going to help them. And then this wise old circle basically says, I've heard of other lands where, they're shapes, but they don't go by their shape names. They're just shapes. And they get along and they create beautiful things. And so anyway, he kind of convinces them we should help these squares. At first the squares are resistant, but then they realize, hey, maybe together we can do things that we can't actually do on our own, right, as squares. Because they don't move around a lot and they can't get the snow off. And so anyway, as you can see on here, they end up realizing we can make beautiful things together. There's different things, beautiful illustration. Bill Kersey was the illustrator on this. And what I like about this in general, after reading this, you have these discussions, with students or even adults for that matter, about, diversity. God created a diverse world, right? Mm-hmm. He created Adam and Eve, very different. He didn't create Adam, then another kind of Adam, right? There's two distinct. One was created as a suitable helper, right? So we're supposed to work in community, not to isolate. We help each other, we cooperate, and I love that. And even later in the New Testament, Paul talks about, to some were given this gift and some given this gift, and it's all for the body of Christ. And so this book doesn't go into the biblical references. It leaves it open. But in that way, we can get into the secular world and talk about this with biblical truths. Again, without saying we're going to talk about biblical truths, right? And what I do like about this is the reminder that a diverse world, just because you're different than me doesn't mean you're my competition.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's what the world is like. You're different. Oh no, you may take something that I want.
If you're different, your tribe gets something, that means my tribe lost it.
That's right. It's a zero sum, right? Yeah. If you get it, then that means I don't get it. Rather than, I think God's design is, you're different from me, and it's going to be complementary, right? You can see things, you can do things that I probably can't do, but together we can make beautiful things, right? And so it's this beautiful thing about, we have unity, but it doesn't mean uniformity, right? We don't have to look the same. We don't even have to think the same, but we've had the same purpose, right? Like the body of Christ. And that's where the beautiful things are created.
Yeah, I love it. One of the big topics of NRB this week is AI. Mm-hmm. Wondering, as an author, are you an AI skeptic? Are you an AI optimist? Did you use AI in the book process in any way? If not for the writing or the illustration, for marketing or organization or some other things, but AI is definitely becoming an accelerant on the world of content creation.
Yeah, so AI, whether we like it or not, is here. Mm-hmm. I think it has its benefits. In the education world, we need to obviously be careful about our students just getting an AI generated paper on history or whatever.
Yeah, they're kind of using it for shortcuts.
Exactly right, the crib notes of back in the day. So I think there needs to be along with that accelerated growth, there needs to be this accelerated, how do we use it appropriately? And I've always heard in education, right, we don't just give students a laptop or an iPad, right? It's like I wouldn't give you a circular saw and not teach you how to use it safely, right?
Yeah, totally.
It's a tool for education. AI is a tool. We need to be aware, how can we teach kids and even us to learn, how do we use it appropriately? As an author, I'm a little still old school. Like, yes, I could go in there and put the idea. I have used it sparingly in the sense of like, I've got a general idea, like, and I've got all these thoughts. Maybe it can synthesize an idea for me and go from there. I have used it to refine emails, my wordiness, kind of condense it down. But as far as like the actual product, I think I'm more of a purist on that and want to kind of stick to God-given talent.
Let's go. One of the components of being an author is oftentimes, completing a book is the beginning of a journey versus the end.
Right.
Of course, with the marketing of the book, but then also the derivatives. 82% of all TV and film are still adapted from books first. There are podcasts, there are lecture series, there are new media projects, art installations, things like that. Is this the beginning or the end of the line for you?
Oh, I hope it's just the beginning.
Let's go.
I'm really excited about creative content. And truly, yes, marketing is not my thing. I come from the creative side, and so I'm having to learn as I go along, and then pay some people who know what they're doing a little bit. But you can get as deep into the weeds as you want, and financially with that, and so I'm trying to be conservative about that. But
of course.
I absolutely hope. I'd love to see this as an animated short. Or maybe some more books spin off of that. I have some other projects that I've worked on as well that I'd like to get to print first, and then go from there as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Rob, congratulations. Looks like a great project, and I'm sure it'll bless a lot of kids around the world and around the community. So thanks for coming on, telling us a little bit about your vision, and keep up the good work.
Absolutely. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.